Veni Creator Spiritus, mentes tuorum visita, in ple superna gratia, que tu creasti pectora. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that song, but it is a song I grew up singing. It is a song I grew up listening to. Well, you will understand this better if you know that in my previous life, I was trained to be a priest, even a Jesuit priest, growing up in the Catholic Church. So in the training process, I was singing this a lot, especially when it's time for us to wait for the Holy Spirit, to welcome the Holy Spirit. So you guys, as you listen to me, you will argue that I'm here to preach, to do a sermon. Fair enough. But I'm not a priest, because at some point in the training process, it became clear that becoming a priest was not my call. It was my vocation. So I quit. Shame on me, right? Well, regardless, you can see that the training is still there. It's part of me. Because indeed, I'm going to preach. I'm going to do a sermon. But beyond the sermon, what I'm sharing with you today is a part of my life. I'm trying to conceptualize some challenges of my life in a book. So what I'm sharing with you is a part of this book that I'm working on. And I hope you connect with it, because it's fully into this course that we are in. Let me come back to my song. What does that mean? The meaning is right there in front of you. Come, Spirit that creates. Visit the minds of your own and fill with heavenly grace all the hearts that you've created. So think of it. The Spirit visiting minds and hearts. You know what? Whenever I listen to that song, it raises my awareness about the Spirit in you and the Spirit in me. By the way, namaste. The Spirit in me salutes the Spirit in you. I bow to the gods in you. My friend, you know what? That song is actually a human call to the Spirit within us to manifest itself. And one way in which the Spirit manifests itself is through a religion that is common to humankind. And that religion is in the dynamic of our hearts and minds. As you all know, our course on religion and conflict resolution is about to come to an end. If anything, this course has allowed us to unveil what I call seeds of peace in all religious traditions we've covered so far. In the past few months, we've traveled the paths of several religious traditions, right? Including Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, indigenous belief, Voodoo, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And I'm very pleased to end this course on the keynote of this talk. And you guys will be pleased with me. To conclude this course, I want to focus on one religion we all have in common, regardless of our religious denomination. Knowing what you know, you guys will tell me I'm crazy. Right? And I will understand your reaction. Thus come your question. What's that religion? At least, if I were you, I would ask that question. If you were to ask me that question my answer will be straightforward. I will tell you that religion of the heart and mind is in the deployment of our hearts and mind. It's in the delightfulness of our hearts with self and with others. But it's also in the radiation of our minds. How so? That would be another question that I would ask if I were you. And if you were to ask me that question, I would totally understand. For I know that what I'm saying is not common. Thus, it requires some clarification. Fair enough. My clarifications will go by analogy. We are all familiar with the vital role the heart plays in our body, right? No need to take a course in biology for that. For the heart irrigates all organs and parts of our body with blood supply to keep them first alive and then healthy. The heart connects our body pretty much. But you know what? In the same process, the heart connects us to others. You know what I mean? If it's not clear, it will become clear. The mind also energizes the body. The mind generates a field of energy that affects the internal environment of the body as well as its external environment. By internal environment of the body, I mean that environment of self. It is self-regulating, self-generating. The self taking care of itself. Whereas the external environment of the body is that of others, our natural and social environment. Per its etymological definition, at least what we saw in the class, using Amplify and Co. Per its etymological definition, religion is to bind us together. Religion creates links and connections. Let's remember the Latin roots of the word religion, if you recall well. Religion comes from the Latin religare, which means to bind together, to connect, right? Religare, to bind together, to connect. Think of it for a minute. When you think of it, our heart actually does the same job in our body, right? Binding the body together, connecting us to us, but more importantly, connecting us to others. The mind also connects us to ourselves and to others in the perspective of energy fields, as understood in quantum physics. Thus, the mind and the heart are critical in connecting our body, right, to ego and to alter ego. That is, to self and to others. So, if we reason on the premise that religion binds us together, then our heart and mind become our basic inner religion. Right? We all become religious as long as we have a heart and a mind. Clear? And you know what? What I call the religion of heart and mind becomes then a common religious denomination. Isn't that beautiful? But what should we understand? What should we understand by religion of heart and mind? That question remains open. And I will try to answer using my conceptualization of life and my own experience. I'll tell you that by religion of heart and mind, I mean that religion of love, compassion, and tolerance. For the heart and even the mind connect us to ourselves and to others through love, compassion, and tolerance. For the spirits we talked about in that song, the spirit living within us is a spirit of love, compassion, and tolerance. What's love then? That will be your question. Love is that ability to open ourselves to others, to open ourselves to the subject or object of our positive or constructive feelings. We open up ourselves in order to make some room in self for another self. That subject or object of our love. We open our ego to welcome and host alter ego. We dilate our hearts to share our feelings with them and to welcome their feelings as well. When you love people, your heart beats for them. You admire them. You connect with them. Think of your own life, your own experience with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, with your parents. You connect with them. You admire them. You trust them. You embrace them when you love them. You want to be with them. You have compassion for them. What's compassion then? Compassion is that ability to feel for alter ego, to feel with alter ego the same way you feel for ego. You know, with that connotation of ego, we accept our ego, right? You feel for alter ego, another ego, the same way you feel for yourself when you have compassion for them. Here as well, let's resort to the Latin roots. Compassion comes from the Latin cum passio. Cum passio. Cum passio. The cum means together with. The passio is twofold. It translates feelings of sorrow and suffering with, as well as feelings of joy, happiness. Wow. What does it mean? It means when we have compassion, we suffer with people when they are suffering. When they are in pain, we dilate our hearts to suffer with them, to feel their pain. But when they are also happy, we rejoice with them. That's powerful. It means compassion kills or counters jealousy, all feeling of jealousy, as well as attitude of condemnation. He is this, she is that. When you have compassion for them, you counter that. Even though you can feel it somehow, feel that way, I mean, but you are able to counter such feeling when you have compassion for them. For compassion makes us expand our hearts to them with generosity. We put ourselves in their shoes. We learn to respect them. We learn to treat them as we wish to be treated. We accept them to be different. In other words, compassion equals a strong sense of tolerance. What's tolerance then? Tolerance is that ability to allow others to be different as they are. It is that sense of open-mindedness which makes us be patient with others. It is the fine fruits between love and compassion. See how I put it? Compassion is like the product of love, and tolerance, is the product of love and compassion. When you love, you understand that you need them to be complete as much as they need you. And compassion comes in that process. And when you show compassion, you understand that you are because they are. Your beingness, you being, depends on their beingness. Try to think of all the implication of that. I am because they are. Compassion, in other words, makes us contemplate us and them. Like in the color of a rainbow. When you think of a rainbow, just try to picture a rainbow. All such colors are beautiful together. So compassion makes us beautiful together and attractive to one another. If we have compassion, we tolerate and we love. If we have compassion, we tolerate then our different religious denominations. For we understand that we are all looking at the truth from different angles. Eventually, love, compassion, and tolerance allow us to focus on our common religion. That is the religion of heart and mind. A heart of love, compassion, and tolerance drag the mind into positive thinking. And positive thinking contaminates our energy field in ways that constructively irrigate our behaviors and actions. And you know what's the beauty? That process radiates beyond us to contaminate others in our environment. And in that process, we respect everybody who is in our environment. We treat them as we wish to be treated. Isn't that amazing if a religion can do that? Well, our religion of heart and mind does just that. Ultimately, the religion of heart and mind seems to be what binds together humankind, regardless of our color, our race, our nationality, and even our religion. So if we develop the religion of heart and mind, the world becomes beautiful. Developing the religion of heart and mind requires that we clean our hearts and mind to make room for others in self. You know what, my friend? When you think of it, that is apparently the message all religious traditions they're trying to convey, right? And they break that message down in categories of love, compassion, and tolerance. Even though at some point they're all fighting one another, there's a common denominator. Something that really brings them together. Something they're all preaching. It's all about love, compassion, and tolerance. And this course has truly allowed us to unveil that in all religious traditions that we cover. In Buddhism, we learned about the importance of focusing on self in order to clean self, in order to bring peace to self, and in that process, you bring peace to others. And that is done in Buddhism through what they call meditation, whether it's mindfulness or transcendental meditation, or you can add to the list. In Hinduism, we learned about that notion of ahimsa. Do no harm, right? Do no harm. Do no harm. Do not hurt. That's pretty much what explains non-violence. And people like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, their philosophies are rooted in that ahimsa. In addition to that, we also learn about the principle of karma. That law of what goes around comes around. The cause and effect. Whatever you do will come back to you. So if you perform good action, they ultimately come to you. If you perform bad action, they come back to you. So we understand that we should not hurt or harm one another with that philosophy of the karma. In Taoism, we learn about that principle of oneness in the yin and yang. That oneness that generates everything. And everything coming from that oneness hosts the yin and the yang, the opposite. When we understand that the yin and the yang, those opposites needs one another to be one, for the oneness to be. We understand that we all need one another for the world to be beautiful. In indigenous belief, we learn about that principle of caring for the nature, because the nature reflects us. I mean, environmentalists will be very happy here. We should not hurt the nature, because God, the Spirit, is in every piece of the nature, which is the same thing pretty much we learned with Voodoo. In Judaism, we learn about the principle of compassion. Compassion for yourself and for others. Can you imagine? And then in Christianity, we learn about that God that is love and compassion. And we learn how we can worship that God through spirit. A spirit that is love and compassion. In Islam, we learn about the importance of fighting the jihad that takes care of yourself. You see here, jihad has a positive connotation, right? The best jihad is the one that is trying to conquer yourself. So in other words, you want to make sure that you find a way to bring peace to yourself first. We also learn about the principle of healing forgiveness, healing reconciliation. That is in Islam. We also learn how the prophet was able to be involved in third-party intervention such as mediation. So when we look at all those religions, the message is one: love, compassion, and tolerance, which is what the heart does. So my call here for us is for us to be mindful that we are religious first in our hearts and minds. And you know what? The input of the heart is so critical in that religion. For the heart season or spices up what the mind cooks. A mind without a heart is dry, and it ends up dying pretty much. My friends, let's focus more on the religion of heart and mind. Let's practice that religion. For the worship that matters is that worship, the one that happens in your heart and in your mind. And I'm like, our heart and mind should actually be our temple, our churches, our synagogues, our mosque, and co. Your heart and mind are the best place for you to worship. So if we embody the religion of heart and mind, the world becomes not only better, but safer for everyone. Isn't that what we're looking for in conflict resolution? Creating a safe place for everybody. If we embody the religion of heart and mind, we understand the words. The religion of heart and mind inspires Christians to go in India and help Muslims in the 1990s to those riots. Christians helping Muslims. The religion of heart and mind, you know what? Inspires every act of kindness that we perform. And I know that you guys are performing daily such acts of kindness. So you are religious in heart and mind. The religion of heart and mind allowed Jewish leaders to raise money to rebuild a mosque that was set on fire in Texas and repair another mosque set on fire in Florida. This year, it happens. The religion of heart and mind also allowed Muslim leaders to raise money to repair decimated Jewish headstone in St. Louis, Missouri. It happens also this year. The religion of heart and mind makes us care for the poor. It urges us to provide health care for the sick, shelters for homeless, and clothes for those who are naked. It leads us to feed those who are hungry. It gives drinks to those who are thirsty. It allows us to welcome refugees and strangers. It inspires us to visit prisoners. If we exemplify that religion of heart and mind, our world will be a haven of peace for everyone. Namaste. Salam alaikum. Shalom. Peace be with you. Thank you.